Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And since this week is the week of Labor Day, I'm doing a bunch of workplace comedies. And this one was also a viewer request, and it is for the 2009 film Still Waiting. Here is your trivia question for today. Who makes a cameo as Ken Halsband, the seduction guru? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, in the film Still Waiting, we are now checking in on a different shenanigans restaurant from the first film, and this time around, our main character appears to be Dennis, who is the current manager of this particular restaurant. So, Dennis desperately wants a district manager position that's opening up, but he's being told by Dan, another district manager, that if his store doesn't meet budget today, that there's no way he's getting that job. So, to get that job, he's going to do everything to inspire his employees, including lying to them. Now, the thing that's really working against him is the fact that the company owns another restaurant that's directly across the street named Tata's, and for some reason, they seem to be pulling in all the customers. So, will the shenanigans staff be able to help Dennis get to where he needs to? And even if he does, will he actually end up getting the job? This movie was a direct to DVD sequel to the movie Waiting. The movie was directed by Jeff Ballas, and it was written by Rob McKittrick, who was the director and writer for the first film. John Michael Higgins plays the character of Dennis, one of the new characters added into the series, and essentially kind of a replacement for the character of Dean from the first film. Steve Howie plays the character of Agnew, who I'm assuming is supposed to be the replacement for the character of Monty, who is played by Ryan Reynolds in the first film. Now, if you do recognize Howie, it's pretty likely that it's because he played Kevin on the US version of Shameless. So she didn't have a very large role as Sherry in this film, but this is actress Danielle Ackles, who, if you're not aware, is actually the wife of Jensen Ackles, who is Dean from Supernatural. Another actress that has a small role in this film, but you definitely might recognize, is Missy Pyle, who plays the character of Rocky Rhodes. I was honestly surprised with the amount of returning cast that showed up in this sequel. You do have Justin Long reprising his role as Dean, but in more of a cameo. By the way, even though Long did appear in the film, apparently he did not like it at all. Rob Benedict is back as Calvin, and this time he's one of the primary characters. You also have David Koechner as Dan, also a smaller cameo role. Alana Ubach returns as Naomi. Now, in a very similar situation to the first film, Ubach's character of Naomi does have a sequence of showing off a part of herself in the nude. This time around, it was her breasts, and she was completely fine with showing them off for the film, but apparently the people in charge decided that they weren't big enough as they wanted Naomi's to almost seem cartoonish. So they did allow Ubach, though, to be in the room this time to choose who her body double would be. Louise Guzman is back as Rodimus. You also have Chi McBride making a very quick appearance as Bishop. Vanessa Lenges very briefly appears as Natasha. And lastly, you do have Andy Milonakis as Nick and Max Cash as Theo. Just something random that I'm wondering if you noticed in this film, but instead of using Google in this world, they use something called Gobble. So this movie was entirely filmed in California. So when it comes to the film Still Waiting, this one is okay. There's some funny moments, but in general, this movie is nowhere near as good as the first film. There are storylines that go pretty much nowhere, characters that don't deserve screen time, and unfortunately, I feel Allison is one of those characters, as I think she was supposed to be the character showcasing what it's like over on the Tata's side of things, but I just found myself really disliking her, especially by the end. So I'm going to give this one a 2 out of 5. Now, if you did like this movie, other movies I recommend are actually going to be the same ones I recommended for the first film, which are The Slammin' Salmon, Employee of the Month, Adventureland, and Office Space. Now it's time for the answer to the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. Who makes a cameo as Ken Halsband, the seduction guru? So once Dennis starts taking advice from Calvin on how to be an incredible jerk because he believes that that's the way that you get women, one of the things that Calvin lends to him is a DVD, and the person on this DVD, who is apparently a seduction guru, was played by Adam Carolla. I'm almost positive that Corolla was trying to act really bad on purpose, but if he wasn't, I think this was some really bad acting work. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.